Each Monday of every week, a normally quiet apartment turns into a meeting ground for a select group of friends. It's a place to unwind, it's a place to let go, and it's a place to be themselves. Their common bond? A collectible card game that's been around for over 2 decades. 20 million people play Magic: The Gathering, but on Monday nights, it's just them. This is their story. This is The Gathering. Each week begins the same way. Packs are cracked, decks are built, and battles commence.
Sure it's not just the second worst?
No, it is the worst. It's a card that's totally unplayable for me, but that is way too good for Jay.
Excellent.
Don't worry, Jay missed the card that was totally amazing for him.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter.
I'm sure I'll miss this one.
If I was going to get to the left, I would.
But it's the banter that keeps things fresh. New jokes and new jabs.
I don't need you.
Oh, that's just funny.
The group has met hundreds of times over the past decade. Some have come and some have gone, and the competitive nature has changed, but the essence remains the same.
I started the group because I thought, yes, let's do this Magic, and maybe we will eventually get somewhere on the Pro Tour, which was a reasonable dream when Pro Tour qualifiers are being held 2 or 3 times a year in Winnipeg. Eventually, I won that Nationals tournament with a deck called Rats, and it was the best experience of my life in Magic to win that Nationals, because it was like unexpected. Winning Nationals on itself is pretty difficult, as I found out the year before, where I went to Nationals and didn't do so well. I did okay, but didn't become anywhere near the top. On the Pro Tour, I managed to go to Japan for winning that Nationals, and I managed to go to Spain for winning another Pro Tour qualifier. Sure.
While intense competition has waned over the years, the opportunity for frustration still remains.
Yeah, Mom just drew 5 land gas that game, and I'm sitting there with 8 lands in play in one of my hand. I'm like, all right, you got me. I made a game of it, but... One of my biggest weaknesses as a Magic player is it's a term that Magic players use, to go on tilt.
Happy. Like, I'm not racing.
You should be, because I'm losing the race. And usually it's not, it's like a building up of things. Like, that's where going on tilt happens. If I make like 1 mistake, 2 mistakes, whatever, I never really usually say anything. If I get mana screwed once or whatever, that's fine. But if I'm, mulliganing 2 or 3 times every game and then mana screwing, and then on top of that I make a mistake, I'll get really upset, and it's just a bad day of Magic. I mean, when both of them were on sort of half a deck last game, I beat them. When they're both on full decks, I can't beat them. Yeah. I can't do it. My deck's good, it's just not good enough for that. I can't.
Steve, he's the funnest to needle, because he seems to take it the most seriously of all of us right now. And that leaves him open to the jabs. And the only way you can get a thick skin is if people keep poking you. So I'm going to keep poking Steve.
I'm worried about running out of gas. I'm trying to think what my best line is here.
run out your gas.
Oh, I was 5 men up on Jay. I'm worried.
Man, that could be anything. Could have 3 spells.
Gosh, what are the odds he has another counter spell? It's not a lot of counter magic in the format. What is horribly awry counter? But I used to be worse. Every time I go to, even just to Monday Night Magic at Jay's, every time I go, I want to win. I'm trying to win. And sometimes after a draft, I'll feel I have like a really good deck. And then I proceed to, some bad luck and, I don't draw the right cards. And then maybe I make like a really critical mistake. I'll get pretty upset because I expected to win. I feel really confident about 3-0ing because this deck is solid.
Play an Uber deck on us.
I might as well. It's not like
a declaration of Uber deck has been made.
Yep. I've heard Uber deck declaration.
Alright, fine, we'll do it. Uber deck.
When Stephen was 18 years old, he went away to Japan for a year on a Rotary exchange. And while he was there, his internet connection was very slow, so he couldn't play a lot of the computer games that he liked to play. And one of the things he played, because you could play it at a slower speed, was Magic Online. And so one of the ways we communicated is I decided to try and learn how to play, and we could play together. And I would get up at like 7 in the morning to play with him because in Japan it would be like 10 o'clock at night.
It was actually playable. Fruitcake Elemental's terrible. Well, it's a 7/7 for 3.
No, I don't think it was playable because it wasn't
playable like people want to play it because it's cool and it's got good art and it actually does interesting.
It's also very expensive to play competitively. Like a tournament level deck can go $600-700, and you might only play at 1 or 2 tournaments, and then it's gone. Right?
When Ravnica Block came out, we figured out that the dual lands in sets were going to be important for years, and so we always made sure to get a play set, usually through drafting, but sometimes we'd buy the few we were missing to fill out our sets.
I would like to know where those Tom Spiral glyphs are.
Well, there's somewhere. We don't just hold them there. We'll kind of call it.
It's just a lot of money. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun being able to play with him. We've both been able to do a lot of things we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. We've gone to tournaments all across the country, into the States, flown places, had trips, that kind of went around Magic. And so I think that's allowed us to have a much more diverse relationship than a lot of parents necessarily can have with your kids. I mean, we all love our kids, but Steve and I are friends, in my opinion.
The cost of the game, it's a privileged game. So, like you said, there's a lot of money to be made on both ends of the game as a player or a vendor like myself. For me, I capitalize a lot on new releases, new decks that players invent that causes certain cards to be more popular than they were last week. And then players also who are collectors will also get those small gains once those happens. But for every gain, there's a loss as well. So when something gets really popular, something becomes less popular. So
Getting into Magic's competitive scene can be expensive. Getting into the game isn't cheap. For the past 3 years, members of the group have been teaching new players how to play at Comic-Con. Because to them it's not about the price tag, but the relationships they've gained from the game.
Other things, other games, and other social aspects we found that we like to do with each other.
It's really just the friendship is, as you mentioned, it's just like any other group of guys playing your ball hockey. We just play Magic, which is more intellectual, less physical.
While While Magic the Gathering has brought them together, the real magic, as it were, has been how a few pieces of cardboard has offered them more than a temporary escape. It's given them lifelong friendships, ones transcending the game that initially brought them together.